Hey YouTube, and thanks for joining today for the second episode of Backpacking 101, where we're going to be talking about the 10 essentials. So stay tuned and we're going to dive right into that. All right, thanks for joining, and let's dive into the 10 essentials. Different people will order these different ways. I've tried to order them in the order that I think is most important, but depending on your situation, the order could definitely change, and what you actually bring to fill the need of one particular item, that can also change depending on the season and location and general logistics of your particular hike or backpacking activity. So just to go through the 10, there's planning and navigation, sun protection, water, knife, fire, rain/shelter, clothing, first aid, food, and a light. So planning and navigation. This is just kind of a basic thing. You should always have a plan and be able to share it with someone before you leave on your backcountry adventure. And this would include, who's going, what are you doing, what are your goals, why are you going, when are you going, and how are you going to get there and get back. And that's why it really works into navigation, whether it's getting from point A in a car to your trailhead and then out, in the backcountry and then back home. It's all kind of related. And so navigation items that you would carry in your pack would include compass, map, GPS device, maybe a satellite communication device, and your phone will serve a lot of these functions. Like there are apps like AllTrails, which are very helpful, especially in the backcountry, because if you download the GPS, the maps, you can turn off the cellular service and still use your GPS on your phone, conserve battery, etc. And with battery banks, you can recharge your phone, and you can actually see where you are on GPS on those images while you're in the backcountry. But a good old map and compass is always something that you should have with you when you're traveling. The next thing on the list was sun protection, and of course that can include, hat, scarf. Clothing is what I use predominantly for sun protection. This ultralight shirt, and if I were in the backcountry, I'd be wearing ultralight pants because they do provide sun protection, insect protection, and it just generally keeps you a little bit cleaner, keeps the dust off of your body that way. And so above tree line, a lot of times I will take a zinc oxide type sunscreen for above tree line, for my face, nose, ears, that kind of thing. And then for my hands, I'll typically use gloves, which is something that I try and carry, all the time. Even in my vehicle, I'll carry leather gloves, but a pair of gloves to provide protection from the sun. So those are all helpful things for sun protection. Number 3 was water, and this really includes more than just a platypus or an Nalgene full of water with your electrolytes or drink mix in it that you want. It also includes, or should include, a chemical treatment of some kind. It gives you a lot more flexibility in what your water sources that you can safely feel comfortable about using. And then also some sort of filtration device. And in my case, I've been carrying the BeFree now for a little over a year, around a year, I guess over a year now. But there are other, pump filtration systems and gravity flow systems that you can use. There are a variety of good products on the market. And so even if you're just carrying a container for excess water and your filtration, and you know where your water stops are and your access to water is going to be, that works into your plan and your coverage for this particular item of your 10 essentials. And it is typically, I carry at least 3 liters of capacity for water containment when I'm out and about. Even if it's not full when I start, I typically carry that much capacity. The next item was a knife, and really a small micro Swiss Army knife or any kind of a blade is at minimum what you need. I've carried this for the last couple years. It's very heavy if you have a weight weenie philosophy, but it's a great tool to have, and it can really help you do things. A knife can help you create shelter, create fire, obviously cut things, process food. So it's a great tool that you should definitely have in your kit, and it really can vary from something as simple as a razor blade up to even a big single blade, fixed blade knife. So the next item was fire, and I typically carry 3 different kinds of fire starting device, 2 of which are a kind of striker. So this is a Light My Fire striker, and it works great for starting fire. And then I typically carry a Bic lighter in my kit, and if these get wet, they don't work very good until they're dried out. And then I also will carry just a plain striker with some Tinder Quick material to start a fire. Even if it's wet, this will work, and so will the other magnesium striker. It will work. So the next thing on the list was rain gear / shelter, and I think of these similarly. The shelter that I carry just almost always is a Gatewood Cape. There's some newer products, some lighter weight tarps from Z-Packs that look really cool, that would be great. They don't take up a lot of volume, they don't weigh much. This weighs, roughly 11 to 12 ounces, so 3/4 of a pound with stakes. Doesn't take up a lot of volume. It's easy to carry around with me all the time. And then for general rain coverage, I carry a Montbell top. There are a lot of modern rain jackets that will fill this requirement, including Frog Togs, which are a cheap, relatively lightweight. They're not small volume, but they are a pretty lightweight option, and you can get them at Walmart and other big box type stores, so you don't have to have access to an outfitter type shop to get Frog Togs. Clothing, and what we're really talking about here is, number one, dressing appropriately and having appropriate clothing with you for the season and the activity that you're doing. And then beyond that, it is always good to carry a few extra things, and so certainly footwear and extra socks is important. And I like to carry a beanie for sure. That way, if for some reason you're delayed or the temperature changes, You've got some insulation for your heading. So at minimum, those are the kind of things that I carry. And then if I were on a backcountry event that was at altitude above tree line, mountain climbing, then I would have entirely different stuff. I would have extra insulating layers. I also carry a wind shirt. It's just part of my standard gear, extra clothing that I carry, but I would also have some extra insulating layers with me, and more socks, certainly. So then that brings us to first aid and repair, and I kind of include those together. And so a basic first aid kit, I carry with me just pretty much everywhere, and that would include, some repair tape for gear and repair tape for my air mattress if I were camping. But it's just in my bag. It's just a part of my kit and something that I carry. If you were doing something, your first aid kit, all of these items can change depending on the specifics of your activity and how many people you're traveling with, and certainly first aid kits are no exception to that. If you're traveling with more people, you're probably going to need a little bit different first aid kit than if it's just you, and in a future video we'll get into some of those items. Obviously food, and I tend to just keep stashed in my bag non-perishable or generally non-perishable type food items. I think in here I've got some chorizo, some dried figs, and some of the Real Lemon drink packs, along with some Himalayan sea salt and potassium chloride to make the Keto Aid electrolyte mix for my water. And I also have some Four Sigmatic instant coffee, and I just generally, that just stays in here, or something, some variant of that. And obviously if you were staying overnight and you were working on a meal plan, you would have that food too, but then always just something a little extra that you can throw in a day pack if you're doing side hikes, or if you're going to do a summit pack and lighten your load, leave your stuff at a base camp, and then hit the summit, your extra food that you want to carry or have with you to go along with you on that. And then the last thing, number 10, was a light source. And in general, I keep like this Petzl headlamp. I've got some larger Black Diamond headlamps that I actually carry with me, including on my business trips that I take. I'll take a Black Diamond headlamp with me too. It's one of those things where it's kind of a luxury. You should have one because it's great to be able to see at night in the dark in low light conditions. Obviously you can figure out with a little bit of skill how to survive without a light, but that's number 10. So just to review those, we've got planning and navigation, sun protection, water, a knife, fire starting material, rain gear and shelter, clothing, first aid kit, food, and a light source. And those are the 10. I think really if I had to pick an 11th one to add, and this isn't a gear description for a specific trip or anything, these are just 10 basic things that you should have with you pretty much all the time. I even keep this stuff stashed in my car, but my vehicle. But if I had to add another one, it would be your personal hygiene and human waste disposal kit. And so something to dig a cat hole with, like this Montbell trowel. There are some lighter trails now that are on the market. Some kind of wipe, including wet wipes. If you're in the front country, those are super convenient. And then also a wag bag. So if you're in an area where you're in alpine meadow or some other pristine area that's easily damaged, then if it's not required by regulation, and you still may find situations where you want to pack it in, pack it out. These are great because they're fully contained kits that contain paper, they contain for wipe, they contain a plastic bag, and we can look at this in future videos when we get into human waste disposal. But these are great to have because they allow you to pack it in, pack it out, and contain all of the human waste. And they have a component in here that's a powder that will break down and sterilize basically the human waste so that it can be disposed of in a garbage can. So that's the highlights for the 10 essentials, and thanks for joining. If you haven't subscribed yet, take a minute and hit the subscribe button. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you have comments, please leave those. And again, thanks for joining, and remember, get up, get out, live a little. Thanks. See ya.